I used to believe that love was enough to keep two people together, that if you truly care for someone, no mistake could ever tear you apart. But I was wrong. Sometimes one careless moment, one impulsive decision, can destroy everything you built with years of love and trust. My name is Shaena, and this is the story of how I lost a man who meant everything to me. When I first met Daniel, he was gentle, focused, and endlessly kind. He made me laugh when life felt heavy, and he believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. 2 years into our marriage, I thought we were unbreakable. But over time, something began to shift. Daniel had started working long hours at the firm, chasing promotions and responsibilities that consumed his days and nights. I told myself it was temporary, that he was doing it for us. But deep inside, I began to feel invisible, like a shadow in my own home. The night of Daniel's birthday party was supposed to be special, a chance for him to relax, to feel appreciated. I planned every detail carefully, from the decorations to the guest list. His colleagues were coming, and most importantly, his boss, Mr. Carter, a man Daniel admired and feared in equal measure. I wanted the night to be perfect, to show everyone how proud I was of my husband. When the evening arrived, everything sparkled. The lights, the laughter, the glasses of champagne. I watched Daniel smile as people toasted his success, and for the first time in months, he looked happy. But then Mr. Carter arrived, charming, confident, with that magnetic presence that drew people in. He complimented my dress, my hosting, my smile. I blushed, not because I was flattered, but because I wasn't used to being noticed anymore. I didn't know then that a single moment of weakness, a thoughtless kiss, would soon turn this beautiful night into the beginning of my deepest regret. The soft hum of music filled the air as guests began to arrive, their laughter mingling with the gentle clinking of glasses. The rooftop restaurant was glowing beneath strings of golden lights, the city skyline stretching endlessly behind it. Everything looked perfect, almost too perfect. I remember standing beside Daniel, smiling for photos, pretending that nothing between us had changed. Daniel was radiant that night, wearing his favorite navy blue suit, his hair neatly combed back. For a while, watching him laugh with his colleagues, I almost forgot the distance that had been growing between us. He looked so alive, so confident, and I wanted, more than anything, to feel like I was still part of his world. When Mr. Carter arrived, the atmosphere subtly shifted. His presence commanded attention. His voice carried that effortless authority people couldn't ignore. He was tall, impeccably dressed, and confident in a way that bordered on arrogance. Daniel hurried to greet him, and I followed, smiling politely. "Mr. Carter," I said, "offer my hand." He took it, holding it a second longer than necessary. "Please, call me Adrian," he replied with a charming grin. Daniels told us you're the real star of the evening. His words made me blush. Daniel chuckled, though I saw the flicker of discomfort in his eyes. I told myself it was harmless, a boss trying to be friendly. As the evening went on, the drinks kept flowing. Daniel moved from group to group, making sure everyone felt welcomed. I too, played the perfect hostess, laughing, chatting, ensuring no one's glass stayed empty for long. Every now and then, I caught Adrian's gaze from across the room. His eyes lingered just a little too long, and though it made me uneasy, there was something dangerously flattering about the attention. When the music grew louder and people began to dance, Daniel was pulled into a conversation with 2 of his co-workers. I found myself standing by the terrace, looking out at the glittering city lights. It was there that Adrian appeared beside me, holding 2 glasses of champagne. "You've outdone yourself tonight," he said, handing me one. "You've made this party unforgettable." I smiled politely, unsure how to respond. I just wanted Daniel to enjoy himself. "He deserves it." "Of course," he said smoothly. "He's a lucky man." His tone made my heart flutter and my stomach twist all at once. I told myself it was nothing, just small talk. Yet, beneath the laughter and music, something unspoken hung between us. A dangerous current neither of us acknowledged, but both somehow felt. That night, surrounded by music, laughter, and the man I loved, I had no idea that a single reckless moment was waiting just ahead, ready to shatter everything I thought was safe. The night had started to fade into that golden blur, where laughter turns softer, and people begin to say their goodbyes. A cool breeze swept across the terrace, carrying the faint scent of roses from the decorations. I should have gone to find Daniel then, but something kept me rooted there, staring out at the city lights, lost in thought. I was tipsy, just enough for my mind to feel hazy and my heart too open. That's when I felt a presence beside me. Adrian had returned, his expression casual, a trace of a smirk playing on his lips. "Beautiful view, isn't it?" he said, leaning on the railing beside me. "It really is," I replied softly. "Daniel loves this place." He glanced at me then, his eyes sharp and knowing. "He's a lucky man," he said again, his voice lower this time. "But I can't help wondering if he realizes it." I laughed nervously, brushing a strand of hair from my face. "Of course he does," I said, though a small, insecure part of me wasn't sure anymore. For a few moments, neither of us spoke. The music drifted from inside, muffled and distant. Then Adrian stepped a little closer, too close. I could smell the faint cologne on his jacket, feel the warmth of him beside me. "Shaena," he murmured, "you've been the most captivating woman in this room all night." I should have walked away. I should have told him to stop. But instead, I froze, caught between discomfort and the dangerous thrill of being seen again, of being wanted. Before I could even process it, he leaned in, his lips brushed mine. Just a second, a single heartbeat, and then the world came crashing back. I pulled away instantly, my heart pounding. "No, Adrian, I can't," I stammered, stepping back. My hands trembled as guilt flooded through me. He smiled faintly, unbothered, as if it meant nothing. But to me, it meant everything. Without another word, I turned and fled, my heels clicking against the marble floor, the sound echoing in my ears like an accusation. I locked myself in the restroom, staring at my reflection, horrified at the woman staring back. It was just one kiss, one mistake. But deep down, I already knew nothing would ever be the same again. The next morning, sunlight poured through the curtains, far too bright for how heavy my heart felt. My head throbbed from the champagne, but it was a memory of last night. The kiss, that made my stomach twist with guilt. I hadn't slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Adrian's face, felt that moment replaying in my mind like a scene I couldn't erase. Daniel was already awake when I walked into the kitchen. He was sitting at the table, his coffee untouched, his phone in his hand. His shoulders were tense, his jaw tight. "Morning," I said softly, forcing a smile. He didn't look up. "Morning." His tone was clipped cold, so unlike him. I hesitated. Did something happen? He finally looked at me then, and the pain in his eyes made my knees weak. "You tell me, Shaena, did something happen?" My throat went dry. "What do you mean?" He tossed his phone across the table. The screen lit up a video, shaky, grainy, but unmistakable. It was me, on the terrace, and Adrian. The kiss. For a few seconds, the world stopped moving. I couldn't breathe. "Daniel, He stood up, his voice shaking with fury and disbelief. "Do you have any idea how that looked? How it felt to have my phone blow up with messages from people who were there?" Tears stung my eyes. "It was a mistake. It meant nothing, Daniel, I swear. I didn't even—" He slammed his fist on the table. "A mistake? You kissed my boss, Shaena, at my birthday party, in front of people I have to face every day." I could see the betrayal etched into every line of his face. The man who once looked at me with so much love now looked at me like a stranger. I didn't plan it. I whispered. He came to me. I didn't. Daniel cut me off, his voice breaking. "Don't you dare blame him. You could have stopped it." Silence fell between us. I could hear my own heartbeat, heavy and sickening. He grabbed his jacket from the chair. "I can't look at you right now. Please, don't go," I cried, reaching for him. "Let me explain." He pulled his arm away. "Explain what? That you threw away everything we had for a moment? For attention?" He left before I could answer, the door slamming behind him with a sound that felt like finality. I sank to the floor, sobbing, clutching my chest as if I could hold my breaking heart together. The video was still playing on the phone, the proof of my weakness looping over and over. That's when I realized what I thought was a secret had become public. And my mistake had not only broken Daniel's trust, it had destroyed his pride. And maybe, I thought bitterly through my tears, it had destroyed me too. The days that followed felt like moving through a storm I had created. Every second was thick with regret. Every sound reminded me of Daniel's voice. Every silence reminded me of his absence. He didn't come home that night, or the next. His phone went straight to voicemail, and my messages remained unread. At first, I told myself he just needed time. But as the days stretched into weeks, the truth became impossible to deny. He wasn't just angry. He was done. I found out from a mutual friend that Daniel had taken a leave of absence from work. Later, I learned he had resigned entirely. The news broke me. My mistake hadn't only hurt him, it had ruined his career. Mr. Carter still held his position, untouched by scandal, while Daniel's name was whispered among colleagues. His pride shattered in an environment that once respected him. I wanted to reach out to him, to fix what I had broken. I wrote letters I never sent, paragraphs full of apologies and explanations that felt too small to heal such a wound. Each night, I reread our old messages, the silly jokes, the sweet promises, the photos of us smiling like nothing could ever come between us. And then I'd cry until sleep finally dragged me under. Friends tried to help. Some said, "It was just a kiss, Shaena. He'll forgive you." Others weren't so kind. "You humiliated him," one of them said bluntly. "He'll never look at you the same again." They were right. When I passed by places we'd gone together, the coffee shop where he used to wait for me after work, the park where he proposed, I could almost see us there laughing, holding hands, and in reality would rush back in, cruel and sharp, reminding me those moments were gone. One evening, my phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. "You shouldn't blame yourself. Things like this happen." It was Adrian. My stomach turned. I didn't respond. I blocked him instantly. His words, cold, dismissive, made me realize how meaningless that night had been to him, while it had destroyed my world. Eventually, the walls of our home began to feel like a prison. Everywhere I looked, I saw pieces of Daniel, the coffee mug he always used, his jacket still hanging by the door. I couldn't bear it. I packed a suitcase, left a note on the kitchen counter, and moved into a small apartment on the other side of town. Each night, I sat by the window, replaying everything over and over, wondering if he'd ever forgive me, or if I even deserved forgiveness. I used to believe love could survive anything. But now, as I sat alone in that quiet room, I realized love isn't indestructible. It's fragile, and once it breaks, it never looks quite the same again. It was almost a month before I saw Daniel again. I had sent countless messages that went unanswered, each one shorter, more desperate than the last. Then, one quiet Sunday morning, I received a simple text from him. "Let's talk. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. Cafe Aurelia." My hands trembled as I read it. I barely slept that night, terrified of what he might say, and more terrified of what he wouldn't. When I arrived at the cafe, Daniel was already there, sitting by the window. He looked thinner, older somehow, as if the weight of everything we'd lost had carved itself into his face. His eyes met mine, and for a brief second, the love I once knew flickered there. But it vanished just as quickly. "Hi," I said softly, my voice barely holding steady. "Hi." His tone was flat, polite, formal, even like I was someone he used to know. I sat down across from him, my heart pounding. "You look tired," I whispered. He gave a bitter half-smile. "Yeah, well, losing your job and your marriage will do that." The words hit me like a slap. Tears filled my eyes, but I forced them back. "I'm so sorry, Daniel. I never meant for any of this to happen." He leaned back, studying me. "Then why did it? Was it the attention? The thrill? Or did I just stop being enough for you?" I shook my head, crying openly now. "No, it wasn't that. You were always enough. I took a shaky breath. I was lonely. I missed you. And when he said those things, when he made me feel seen again, Daniel's expression softened, but only for a moment. "You could have told me that. Shaena, you could have said you were hurting. Instead, you kissed the one man I couldn't stand to lose respect from. I looked down, my voice trembling. I know, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life. He sighed, his hands clasped tightly together. I don't hate you, he said quietly, but I don't know how to forgive you either. Those words broke me more than anger ever could. When he stood to leave, he hesitated, glancing at me one last time. Maybe time will change things. Maybe not. And just like that, he walked away, leaving me with the sound of the rain tapping softly against the cafe window and the ache of a love I'd never get back. 6 months have passed since that rainy afternoon in the cafe. Time hasn't healed everything. It rarely does, but it has softened the sharpest edges of my pain. I live alone now, in a small apartment overlooking the park. The silence that once felt unbearable had become something I've learned to live with. Mornings are the hardest. I still wake up expecting to hear Daniel's voice, the sound of the shower running, his quiet humming as he made coffee. But the apartment stays silent, and I remind myself that silence is part of my punishment, and maybe my healing too. I've started therapy, something I should have done long ago. I'm learning about loneliness, about how easy it is to mistake attention for affection when your heart is starving. My therapist tells me forgiveness begins with yourself, but I'm not sure I deserve that yet. Daniel and I don't speak much. Every few weeks, he sends a short message, something polite like, "Hope you're doing okay," or "I got your letter. Thank you." I treasure those words, even if they don't mean what they used to. Sometimes when I walk past couples holding hands or laughing over coffee, I think about what I lost and what I destroyed. Love, I've learned, isn't just passion or comfort. It's trust. And once that trust is broken, love doesn't disappear. It just changes shape, turning into something you carry quietly for the rest of your life. If I could go back and undo 1 second of my life, it would be that moment on the terrace, the careless, thoughtless kiss that shattered everything. But life doesn't give second chances. It only gives lessons. And I will spend the rest of mine remembering the man I loved, the mistake I made, and the woman I've become because of it.